Hello, writers. My name is Tennyson E. Stead. I'm a working screenwriter and a working script doctor. And welcome to The Right Stuff. Today we're talking about spectacle. Um, if you watch this channel for a while, you probably have heard at some point that back in 2013, I was hit in the head with a sword on a set. I was pretty sure I was going to die of a stroke for quite some time. I suffered a traumatic brain injury that, affected me very severely for about 10 years. Um, all kinds of things happened in there. But in those first few months, when I was uncertain about whether or not I was going to be able to communicate forever or whether I was going to live for very, very much longer, I decided to write down everything that I knew about screenwriting and about show business so that I could, at the very least, offer my show community some kind of help, be of service and use in some kind of way, like anyone was going to read that stuff. But funneling it down has resulted in the show person you see today. It's kind of the foundation of all the work I do and my ethics and my approach to show business. Turned out to be a really good tool for me. And one of the primary things that came out of that process was a working definition of spectacle. A lot of people in this industry talk about spectacle as though it's this amorphous thing that you just kind of happen into, and it's not. It's an equation. It's very easy to replicate. Spectacle is the effect of seeing people do stuff you didn't realize people could do. That's it. When people surprise you by exceeding your expectations, that is spectacle. And there's all kinds of different ways to create it in show business. You can create spectacle with technology. You can build tools that do things that people didn't realize were possible. Walt Disney basically built his whole career on creating spectacle in this manner. First, he made the world's first animated feature film. It just didn't seem possible until he did it. And then as people got used to the idea that that was something that he was going to keep doing, he had to push that technology farther and farther. He made Mary Poppins and put live action characters and animated characters in the same movie together, and no one had ever seen that before. The problem with using tools to create spectacle is that the human brain understands what a tool is. As soon as we see somebody do something with a tool, we expect it. We understand how engineering works. We know that the purpose of a tool is to create replicatable results. When you saw the bullet time in The Matrix, you probably lost your mind. When you saw bullet time in Charlie's Angels immediately after The Matrix, you probably weren't that impressed, right? My point is that it is very expensive and prone to risk, not just because of the expense, but because, again, what you're doing needs to be so different if you are going to try and create spectacle through some kind of cinematic technology. It's almost always a mistake. People keep doing it. Some people succeed, and it captivates people when they do it. But as writers, the thing to keep in mind here is that people always underestimate other people. Nobody expects you to be as good as you can be. Nobody expects your actors to be as good as they can be. Nobody expects your editor to be as good as they can be. So our job as writers is to write through structure that empowers the other people that we're working with to do the best work that they're capable of. Okay? There's two kinds of screenplays out there. There's the screenplay that is perfect on the page, and you read it, and it's amazing. It's a beautiful read. And you start producing it, and everybody who touches the script takes 1 or 2 percentage points of that quality away. Everything becomes a little less perfect and a little less right and a little less exactly what it's supposed to be every single time someone touches the script. Every actor in the cast takes away 1 or 2%. The director takes away, let's say they're mostly 95% on board with the tone. They're 95% on the vision, and that 5% slips right through your fingers. Then the DP comes along and shoots what you've got, and they take away 15%. Maybe the lighting conditions take away 3%. And by the time it gets to the editor, by the time it gets through the makeup person, you're down to about 50% of what the movie was supposed to be, and you're trying to fix it with a score and a voiceover, and it's not going to happen. That's one kind of screenplay. The other kind of screenplay is the screenplay that takes on a life of its own. You write something amazing, everybody agrees it's amazing, right? And then you put it in the hands of the actors, and they just take off, and you get something out of it that you didn't think you were going to. And then the director steps behind the camera, and you get something out of it that you didn't think you were going to. And it's a compound effect, okay? All of that starts with all the structural stuff that we've been talking about. If you write a passive story that the actors need to sell the audience, that's why you're losing 2% per actor, okay? But if you write a story that puts the actors in a position to perform actions as opposed to reactions, then they perform those actions in ways that you couldn't possibly imagine, because actually they're better at acting than you. You write those actions in a very specific and very urgent, very well-structured way, and they go off and they perform them, and they start coming to life with more detail than you imagined possible, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it starts with the screenplay, but the reason why that magic trick works and the reason why it creates so much spectacle is because of the audience, and it's because of the illusion of cinema. When the audience sits down in a movie theater and the lights go down and the projector starts rolling and the light fills the screen and they look at the actors, this is just a neurological trick, okay? You can tell them that this isn't the case as many times as you want to. You can explain light to the audience until you're blue in the face. But when they look at those actors, they think they're looking at one person do a job. They think they're looking at an actor giving a performance, and it's true, they are. What they don't realize is that they're not just seeing the actor give a performance. They're seeing the actor give a performance that was written by you and then shot by a director. And then maybe the makeup person happened to notice that the eyes of this actor are where their performance lies, so they bring a little bit extra attention to the eyes. And then let's just say, the costume designer came in and brought truth and life to how this actor presents themselves and validates the character that the actor is playing. And then the special effects artists come in and the editor comes in and everybody else comes in and adds all of those extra percentage points that we were talking about until the quality of that performance, the sound and everything else, is sitting at about 2,000 or 3,000% of what that actor is actually capable of delivering on their own. And what the actor was delivering is already way better than what the audience is expecting. There's no possible way that an audience can prepare themselves for that. They're not ready for it. And the result is spectacle. So don't reach for spectacle. Find spectacle in the strength of your fundamentals and the strength of the specificity with which you execute those fundamentals. That's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. This has been The Right Stuff. My name is Tennyson E. Stead. If you like what we're doing here on the channel, please be sure to give us a subscribe and a thumbs up. And I'll be back next week with another video. I look forward to learning with you.